All right, so today we're going to do a little flight tuning session on this bad boy. So this is a prototype drone that you can see is fully encased and waterproof. So this thing can literally dunk underwater. All the electronics are closed within it. You can see it has this case on it, a little bubble here on top of the GoPro. So something pretty unique, sent in for tuning services. So I have not tuned it yet. So we're going to take this up. I did give it a little bit of a flight so far, so I do know it has some issues, so stay tuned for that. We got some wobbly things that we can talk about. And yeah, and then after that, we're going to do probably a follow-up video to this one where I go through tuning this bad boy and fix the issues. But first, let's check out the issues he has. This one definitely we can make it better. So let's get into it. Okie dokie, so it's a little breezy today, but let's see what we got. So in just smooth forward flight, you can see it's a little shaky. Now, like I said, it's breezy and windy today. So let's I don't necessarily see any bounce back, but you can see wobble. You have to excuse me, I didn't put my rates in. So I don't see any bounce back per se, but man, wobble city, right? Not so much throbbles either, just wobbles. Just real wobbly. And I'll throw up here on the screen what we have for PIDs. And I mean, this thing is just super wobbly, So that's the motors are 28 something. I think they're 2804s. The other thing I noticed on it is it's drifting forward. Like that's a roll drift forward. You can kind of, hopefully you can see that, but I'm not touching the sticks. If I put the cursor level with the horizon, you can see that. Oh, you guys don't see the cursor. They have a cursor on the DJI OSD, but hopefully you can just see that it drifts forward like that. That is probably just centering. I mean, I literally just this is my, obviously, DJI radio. It has a DJI air unit in it, so I just bound up to it. But that is probably something to do with maybe some more deadband is needed. So, got some shakes, and wobbles is the biggest thing. It's just very... just the biggest thing there. So, let's see if we can get those things squared away. Prop wash, please. Prop wash isn't actually too bad. Interesting. Well, that's good. Just wobbly, man. Wobbly. So, let's see if we can fix those wobbles. Get my finger on the disarm here. Ooh, good enough. One of the major downsides of this design is that it's all enclosed, so there's no access. And this over here, this strap, I didn't show it on the previous, but it actually holds this foam case thing here so that, you know, if it goes in the water, the intent is to use this over water, that this would keep it afloat. So that actually straps on the top and the battery straps here onto the bottom. So we're going to fix that up here a little bit. I have two things I'm looking at. This is a Flywoo Nano and this is a Bluetooth receiver. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in here. So there's no plugs on here to plug in as of right now. So we'll have to take this apart. So let's do that and see what it looks like on the inside. All right, so what you see here, it's a pretty clean setup. You have your ESC here on the bottom, flight controller on the top. This is a Holy Bro Kakute F7. Just got your connectors in the back here, and the plug is in the back here. It's all sealed in. You can see there, so it's sealed in. And some coating around that to keep it, again, sealed. You got this connector here, which I'm sure has sealant around it to just carry the electricity through the plate and onto the other side where the motors can wire up. So that's pretty cool. And then in here, it's just as simple as you got your DJI unit, and then that's wired up. You have your camera up here. These lens cap sits up on top, and it's kind of mounted on here. And then there is like anti-fog pads shoved into here to keep this from fogging up inside. With that, should be able to plug this sucker in and take a look at what is on here. So it looks like we have our old friend Betaflight 4.1.2 on here. And as shown before, here are the PID settings we had. So some pretty high I terms there. So we're going to make some adjustments there. And let's just go look in the configuration here. Yeah, air mode was enabled, so that's good. And the other thing I want to look at is my motor idle speed. So that's another one. So we got RPM filtering, ESC telemetry, and then we have some filter settings here. These look pretty much stock from what I can recall. So I was able to open it up before I did those flights and shove in an SD card. It didn't have one in there, but I have the log up here behind me that you can see of that flight. And this is something I always do for professional tuning. You know, it's just like putting a car on a performance car on a scope and a meter to see how it's actually running in a very more detailed level. You can get a sense of how things are going without logging, but you can't get a sense of like, is there a vibration issue that's causing other things? What are the vibe? That's a main thing, is how much vibration, raw vibration, does the quad have, and how much is that gonna? That's basically a sign that there's something wrong that mechanically or electrically needs to be addressed. Is there something like that, especially a new quad that I didn't even build or anything? So let's take a look at that, see how she looks, and then take some peeks at some other things. So this part I have not looked at yet. So you can see the log, and I'm on UAV Tech trace template 4 here. Actually, I'm going to go to 0, and you can see those up here, which is kind of nice nowadays. So you can see the raw vibrations. This is this gyro scaled line here. And we have that for roll, pitch, and yaw. So when I shoved the SD card in, I made sure to put that on, and I made sure to set this to 2K logging rate. And yeah, so let's take a look at the spectrograph there, and it's okay. It's not perfect. This goes down to like 100 hertz. So if you hold down the shift key, you can get this little marker here to see what hertz value. So we want to kind of keep all the vibes above 100 hertz, but there's nothing. It's got vibrations, but there's nothing jumping out at me that's specifically really bad. So let's look at, so we looked at roll, pitch, now this is yaw. And then the other thing we can do is we can set those to be time versus, so it's frequency versus throttle. So what we're currently looking at is just cumulative for everything. So frequency versus throttle will give us more of a sense of what vibrations or what throttle percentages. You can see in here anything above like 50% throttle, we're getting a whole bunch of noise in here. That's where those big spikes are coming from. So this is right here, this is your motor band. So that was roll, this is pitch. So pitch is much better. And then this is yaw here. So you can see yaw has a bunch of stuff above about 50% throttle, above about 200 hertz, about 50% throttle. You can see the hertz on the top and the throttle percentage on the side as I hold the shift key down here to kind of see where that's at. And again, that's roll is pretty bad. So again, that was yaw, that there had some stuff, and then this roll is even a little bit worse. Pitch is looking pretty good. So on the quad is Brother Hobby Avenger 2806.5 motors. So those are the appropriate size. This is the 7-inch quad, of course. So yeah, we just have some vibrations there. And I think we're just going to need to live with those. They aren't perfect, but I've seen worse at the same time on a bigger quad like this. So put some graphic up of my preset for 6/7 inch, and we're going to glean some things from that just right here off the bat. So and you can see, and I have it kind of off to the left, so I'm going to look at it over here. So you can see on my preset how I would have a higher P and D. Now on here, they have it right that, you know, the P and the D terms about equal each other, but you can see the I terms are way higher, and then they have pretty low feed forward, and then also pretty low anti-gravity. Now again, this is Betaflight 4.1.6 or whatever, so we could get some upgrades to this even with these settings just by putting it up onto Betaflight 4.3. So yeah, that's interesting. Let's do that. Let's take these settings, let's upgrade this to Betaflight 4.3 RC5, I think we're at, and put these same settings back in and see how it flies. So I've upgraded it, as you can see, to 4.3. I'm going to go back under presets now. I'm going to hit load backup, which I made when I first got it. And I'm going to go as received, and I'm just going to pull in. And I know there's that web app thing that can clear the, I'm a professional, I know what I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and load this up. It will give me, it's going to give me errors that I know are going to be there. It's the same exact flight controller, so all this stuff should be fine, good. This is not with percentage, which I would expect. That's the new dynamic notch, so it's just going to ignore that, which is fine. I want it to, and I'll just get the default. So yeah, that's no problem. And what else do we got? The Blackbox p-term ratio thing, that's no big deal. That's again, I'm just going to get the default, which is fine. I'll just double check my Blackbox logging rate, no big deal. Dynamic, this is all filter stuff. You can see low pass, LPF, that's all low pass filter stuff. Again, just gonna get the default. And everything else was fine. So out of all that, there's like 3 or 4 commands that, worst case scenario, I just get the default. So it's no big deal. I'm going from 4.1 to 4.3. Easy as that. Of course, when I do that, I am going to calibrate the accelerometer one more time. I'm going to check that the orientation is right, so I don't get any anti-TAS things. This should all be set. You can see ESC configuration. Just kind of thumb through some things. I do have a barometer. I'll keep the accelerometer on. Tones are set, RX lost, telemetry, blah blah blah. Should be good here. VBAT, they had that kind of customized. That's fine. That's going to be fine. That's settings here. This put in the same settings here, though it's a little, so here's the professional part. That's no good. So what we can do there is simply put in the same things here, 50, 65. So again, yeah, we should be good there. I thought this had anti-gravity of 5. I'm pretty sure it did. I think I typed in 10 as I did something, because when I hit plus or minus to start and stop recording, I re-entered that in. All this is stuff going to be default. It's not really using these. See, this is set to off. The rates did not come in correctly because it is Betaflight rates, so I have to get those set. So to do that, I'm going to go up here and select Betaflight rates, because that's what it was using before. And I did it quick, and I went and did it again after I hit pause recording. So yeah, you go up and hit Betaflight rates there. And then I'm going to grab the data here from the backup. So this was the actual rates from the save as there. And then I'm going to go under CLI. And now that I have the rate type set correctly, I'm going to go ahead and save that. So now that we've pasted those rates in, it can go back over to here. And yeah, now we're off to the races. This was 1250, 13, I guess it was 1250. It was 1250 before, so we'll just put that in, I guess. And now we have our filtering. Now the filtering by and large was not touched. This is pretty much just Betaflight default. I'm going to turn off, it's somewhat of a cruiser. I guess I'll leave the yaw low pass turned on. We did have a bunch of yaw noise there. We have the RPM filter. I'm going to narrow this down to 2 harmonics. Usually on a big quad like this, we don't need 3. And I'm going to 80 here. I like 600 here. I like 250 here. I like, and I like the default of 3 here as well. Keeping in mind, the prop wash was pretty good on this. This is not a race sport quad, so I want to be a little heavier on the filtering, quite honestly, because we're going to be pumping up the gains quite a bit, and I'm going to get more out of pumping up the gains than trying to take my filtering to the nth degree. This is not a racing, prop wash kind of quad. I mean, the prop wash handling was pretty good. It generally is pretty good on big rigs because they're so heavy. They don't really, they just kind of through the air because their moment of inertia is so big. That's like cine lifters, those big, huge cine lifters with the big red cameras. Prop wash performance is like amazing because that thing's just like a brick going through the air. It's not going to oscillate a lot because it's so big. So this is kind of the same. This thing is over 1,000 grams. So yeah, it's pretty big. So yeah, I'm gonna leave that the same. So the filtering is not. I mean, Betaflight filtering is going to be different between 4.1 and 4.3. It's going to be better in 4.3. So that's a part of this. We're going to kind of keep the same settings. It was pretty much stock filtering before, so now we're going to pretty much leave it stock filtering on this one. Receiver stuff, I am going to fix that yaw drift thing. I'll leave it. But I think that pitch drift issue was just, there was no deadband set. I will set deadband on that to fix that, but I'll leave it for now. In fact, why don't we play a little game? Why don't you put down in the comments below what you think are the fundamental issues for that wobble? Do you I'm not going to say things. What do you think that would fix that wobble? Is it one thing? Is it a series of things? What do you think you would do on your quad to improve those? Go ahead and drop that in the comments below. I'm not going to give input. Have fun with it, and we'll see how it turns out. Obviously, we're going to go through that over the next video and fix everything up now that we're on 4.3. We'll then do the changes to get everything squared. But yeah. So with that, we'll pretty much button up this thing and this video. Come back for the next one where we'll take this out and we'll then be able to do a little fun comparison between Betaflight 4.1 to 4.3. Pretty much the same settings. It's not going to be perfectly the same. They're just changes between the firmwares after 2 releases, definitely under the hood. But we'll see, when, basically apples to apples, at least on the PIDs and the rates and filter generally about the same. Does it fly any better? Let's see. Come back for that. We'll see you on that one. Thanks everybody. I hope this helped.